So Donald Trump and his people are absolutely spiraling today as they're getting major pushback on multiple issues on all fronts. People are running away and people are quitting. Let me show you guys what's going on. So this is the headlines from the Wall Street Journal. Trump allies and officials fear blowback from Powell probe. Of course they are. And so they're trying to distance themselves from this thing as much as possible. Remember, they're basically doing a criminal probe on Powell. And he released a video statement saying, yo, I don't want to play these political games with Trump. Trump's trying to do, politics and pressure me, etc., intimidate me. And then Powell's like, yo, I work in the, based on data and facts, and I work in the public interest, which is obviously something that Trump's not interested in. He doesn't care about public interest. Trump. Now today on Bloomberg, it's reported that global central banks all around the world are in support of Powell. They actually released a statement. This is a joint statement, which is similar to the joint statement that all the former economic heads in USA, both administrations, both Democrat and Republican, are in support of Powell. And again, international central bankers are in support of Powell, saying Powell's, has integrity. This is about the public interest. You do things based on data, and you need independence of the Fed/central banks. Multiple countries signed on this thing, on, again, the joint statement support of Powell. England, Sweden, Switzerland, Australia, Canada, Korea, Brazil, and the list goes on. You can see it. Multiple countries are in support. And so then now the Trump people are trying to pretend like they know anything about this thing, about the criminal probe, but it just makes them look really, really stupid. And the whole thing's stupid. These are Trump people, and they keep trying to do a lot of illegal things, basically. So this is Pulte. He was of Pulte Homes, if you know real estate stuff, and basically in private, he's telling people that they were into, seeking the DOJ on Powell. Pulte's done this before with Fed Cook, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, the list goes on. And then he is asked about it on Bloomberg TV, and he says, quote, I don't know anything about it. Sure you don't. And then he declines a comment on Sunday. So he talks about it in private, asked about it on TV. Because, reports come out. I mean, when you have these conversations like these kind of people, someone always knows and someone always leaks something, right? And then you got Jeanine Pirro. This was the former Fox host. Her office was the one who initiated the criminal probe on Powell. And theoretically, she says he's going to go along and keep doing this thing. But, we'll see how this thing plays out, as this is like really, really negative for them. And this is multiple things that are going on, because I want to show you something else. Look at this. This is the word of the day. Perfidy. And I don't use this word very often. I looked this up one, and it means deceitful or untrustworthiness. So if you knew this word, you can let me know. Sometimes we have Scrabble players in our communities like, I totally know that word. I just didn't know this one. And why is this coming up? Because it's a perfect word to describe the Trump people, right? Deceitful and untrustworthy. And unfortunately, Trump has this culture, perfidy, I guess you could call it, going into our military, essentially. This is just coming out today from the Washington Post. U.S. plane used in boat strike was made to look like civilian aircraft, okay? And there's a lot of legal problems with this. Basically, they painted a military plane to look like a civilian plane, and then they put the weapons inside the plane, so it didn't look like a warplane. So I'll read the description of it, and you guys will see kind of what I'm saying, and then they use that to destroy the first boat. It says in September, okay, this was conducted by a secret military aircraft painted to look like a civilian plane. This is coming from multiple people. The crewed aircraft did not have any weapons showing, meaning there weren't any weapons on the wing. But here's the key. Instead, the munitions were fired from a launch tube that allowed them to be carried inside the plane, not mounted outside on the wing. Okay, so they paint this plane look civilian, put like this launch tube thing inside the craft so you wouldn't necessarily know if this thing's flying over that it was military. And then this becomes a problem, of course. Use of the plane prompted legal debate after September 2nd operation whether the concealment of its military status amounted to a ruse that violated international law, right? And then people start to ask questions, and some people are going to know about this, some people may not be, who knows. 11 people are killed, though, and then this thing goes on. And let me read some more. Feigning civilian status and then carrying out an attack with explicit intent to kill or wound the target is known as perfidy, right? That's why I showed you guys this before. Under the law of armed conflict, a war crime, according to experts. So This is a very, very serious thing, but this is just one of many things that Trump people are doing. And it's just like scandal after scandal after scandal. Any number of these things, like the attack on Fed Chair Powell, now we're painting our aircraft and hiding, military status, painting civilian, and just doing this really shady tactics. And this, was interesting because this comes at a time when, remember, Senator Mark Kelly and other people in Congress basically put out a video that says, do not follow illegal orders, right? And something like this, like, I didn't even know we were doing this kind of stuff, right? And there could be any number of things that are going on right now to where people are following, Hegseth and Trumpy orders that just frankly are illegal. And it's setting up our soldiers and people who serve in the military in really, really bad spots. And so this was actually the right thing to do from Senator Mark Kelly to say, don't follow illegal orders, don't, break the Constitution, these kind of things. And then Hegseth is trying to punish Kelly, and now Kelly is suing Hegseth. Our whole, thing going on right now is just absolutely batcrap crazy. But I just want to show you guys that people are pushing back against Trump. So what's going on with Senator Kelly? We'll read a little bit of this. It says, in the lawsuit filed in D.C. federal court, Kelly's lawyers argued that the Pentagon's inquiry and formal reprimand unlawfully punished the senator for his speech and violated his due process, right? Quote, it appears that never in our nation's history has the executive branch imposed military sanctions on a member of Congress for engaging in disfavored political speech, meaning that Trump and his people didn't like what Kelly had to say, right? It's nothing to do with law or anything. They just don't like what he has to say. And Kelly's like, hey, don't follow illegal orders. And if you're Trump and you want to do illegal stuff, then you're mad, right? And so then you send your people against him or whatever. And then there's this, and this all follows a theme. If you follow the Trump administration stuff, what they're doing, it all follows the same kind of theme. They just want to do a bunch of illegal stuff. Top DOJ officials quit after their division refused to probe Minnesota ICE shooting. So essentially, this is a very damaging event for the Trump people. As you guys know, we all saw the video. We saw what happened to Renee Good, right? The killing. And essentially, I'm pretty sure the average person is like, hey, I want justice. And it's not crazy that you would have a big, high-profile probe into what happened. And if they're not going to do it, then you got people resigning, right? Top DOJ officials quit. I think 4 people quit in the Civil Rights Division. And on top of that, like this, all this stuff is mounting against the Trump people. And whenever I see this stuff because you always hear these stories of like people at the DOJ quit or people at the FBI or CIA quit, and then Hegseth was on TV just the other day saying, 250,000 federal workers, are out of a job. It's like you always wonder, like, who's working at the government anymore? I mean, it's crazy. It's completely dysfunctional. And then you got more lawsuits coming in. So Minnesota and Illinois are suing Trump people basically over their ICE stuff. And I want to read the statements. And again, I just want you to know, guys, you're not alone. Someone wrote in the comments recently that when they come to the channel, our community, they feel like this is a safe place to actually talk about this stuff. And I totally understand. So other people write I got MAGA people around me and I don't really want to talk to you about this stuff. Some people have also said, though, that they have MAGA people around them and suddenly they've been silent like the last week or so. Because regardless of if you like Trump or don't like Trump, just as an honest human being, right? Just an honest person, you don't want this kind of chaos on like a nonstop thing. It's just nonstop chaos and all this, crazy crap that he's trying to pull, nonstop. And it should be obvious, let's just say the most simplest one, say destroying the White House. I'm pretty sure there's Republicans out there that aren't really into that. I'm going to destroy the White House. I'm going to build a ballroom. I mean, it's like, that's like a really simple to talk. And it just, the list goes on. It's like every day. I have not seen anything else in my lifetime. And so I want to go through what people are saying here. This is in Illinois. Just listen to there are other people out there that are pushing back against Trump. So this is the first Attorney General, then we'll hear from the governor and then the mayor. From the Attorney General in Illinois. Border Patrol agents and ICE officers have acted as occupiers rather than officers of the law. They randomly and often violently question residents without warrants or probable cause. They brutally detain citizens and non-citizens alike. They use tear gas and other chemical weapons against bystanders, injuring dozens, including children, the elderly, and local police officers. I filed this lawsuit to stand up for the safety of the people of Illinois and the sovereignty of our state. So that's coming from Illinois. Listen to the governor in Illinois. So it'd be Pritzker. We have watched in horror as unchecked federal agents have aggressively assaulted and terrorized our communities and neighborhoods in Illinois, undermining the constitutional rights and threatening public safety. In the face of the Trump administration's cruelty and intimidation, Illinois is standing up against the attacks on our people. Today, Illinois is once again taking Donald Trump to court to hold his administration accountable for their unlawful tactics, unnecessary escalations, and flagrant abuses of power. There's going to be so many people that go down with Trump. I promise you. I promise you, because there's only so much breaking of the constitutional law that you can do. Here's the mayor. I think this is the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson. The Trump administration has repeatedly violated the law and undermined public trust. These actions weren't just unlawful, they were cruel, needlessly inflicting fear and harm on our communities. My administration will forcefully protect our residents' rights and hold anyone accountable who abuses their power. Nobody is above the law. This lawsuit is about ensuring there is accountability for lawless actions of the Trump administration and justice for the Chicagoans who have been wronged, right? So this is actually, I just read you the Illinois part, but it's both Illinois and Minnesota are suing the Trump people. And, I'm always curious, like, with all this craziness going on, you have the Powell thing, you got the plane, what I just told you about, the perfidy there, or like hiding our military planes, like painting them to look civilian and hiding the weapons, these kind of things, and then killing people, basically. You have the Mark Kelly lawsuit. Like, what is Fox talking about these days? You're always kind of curious, right? So basically, they got the war drums out, and they're talking about Iran. And it's interesting because you kind of put this stuff together, like, why is Trump suddenly interested in Iran? Well, it's better than talking about all the other crap that you're trying to pull. But the thing is, like, just from your average MAGA person, are they thinking, wow, let's spend tax dollars to go to Iran? I mean, do you think that, like, regular people are thinking about that? Maybe they do. I don't know. I mean, it's just, that's the story that they're trying to run right now as their top story. And then now they're running around, Trump people is like, okay, we have to get Republicans to get on board with attacking Iran. That's what they're spending their time. But I'm just saying, guys, this whole thing is completely unsustainable. There's only so many legal things you can do. You fill your team with a bunch of greedy individuals. And in fact, we're going to hear more about sort of like the illegal stuff that Trump is up to. Jack Smith, I guess he's going to testify publicly in Congress next week, and we're going to be hearing everything that he has to say about this stuff. And I'll just say this: I'm here in Korea, and we have a very similar situation going on literally right now. It's like my wife's watching right now. It's been going on all day. If you know about the Yoon arrest, this is President Yoon, the former president, arrest, impeachment, and now he's on trial. Basically, they're sentencing the guy. It's basically a Trump kind of scenario. He tried to declare martial law and sick the military on, the opposing political party. This is literally the same stuff. And this guy would just sit around and watch, crazy people on social media spout conspiracy theories, right? Essentially. It's interesting because when they're sentencing him, because he's basically guilty, and we're going to figure out what the sentence is going to be, and there's three options. It's actually pretty nuts. It's very different than U.S. law. I'll just tell you what the possible outcomes could be. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but there's three. So it says, under the Criminal Act's strict provisions governing insurrection ringleaders, sentencing options are limited to three: death, so capital punishment. Okay, that would be one. Two, life imprisonment with labor, or three, life imprisonment without labor. So I don't know what's going to be on this one. I personally think death is a bit stiff, but I understand why you would have these kind of things in place, because I don't want to make light of what he did. Like, you're ordering the military against your own people, and you have to understand the history of Korea. The reason why I mention this is that this is what a normal functioning democracy looks like. He tried to do this crap. People took to the streets and peacefully, this really important part, peacefully basically stopped it. And also people in the military was like, yo, I'm not going to follow illegal orders. Some slow walked it, like basically took the soldiers to the ramen. Seriously, just go eat ramen and, slow walk it, not necessarily carry it out. Other people the soldiers were told like, oh, you got to go, protect us from North Korea or something like that. And they arrive and there's like, I don't see any North Koreans anywhere. And then they figure out something was up, and there's a whole thing with that. And again, we're doing sentencing today on what's going to happen. And I'm just mentioning the Korean thing because it's always important to learn from other countries, history and stuff like that. I mentioned these two movies because this is a situation. When you watch it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's called 1987 When the Day Comes. I always mention it, but basically the opening scene is the government comes up with this cockamamie excuse, the same way that, say, the shooting of Renee Good, if the Trump people come up with some cockamamie excuse, right? And then people start asking questions, and then there's a cover-up, and it's like, do you want to be part of the cover-up or not? And then ultimately people start to realize like it's really important to pay attention to this kind of stuff. And if you want to look at sort of the history of Korea, this is the more prequel. It's called 12/12 The Day. It's about a military coup, which I highly recommend watching both these movies. But this one is my favorite, and I think I just wish you'd see it. You'll see how all the stuff relates to the importance of democracy and rule of law. So that's where we're at right now. Will Trump face 3 penalties that are happening to the former Korean president at the moment? Yeah, maybe not say that stiff, but I just don't think that you can carry out all this crap that they're doing on a daily basis and people walk away. How can I say, like, clean? I guess we could say it. I think a lot of people that are tied to the Trump administration are going to face legal and repercussions for years. So that's my thoughts on this. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you on the next video.